Hey guys, Sajady here. Hope you are doing well. Just running a tiny bit late, some technical issues. People think it's Mercury retrograde. Whatever it is, we are back. We are live. Thanks for that. Thanks for waiting. Um, Today is going to be really exciting for a couple of reasons. Well, one, we have the live scan. So we've selected two individuals that we're going to have live scans on, live analysis on what's going on with them, and you'll actually literally see them change in real time. Because these are real time live transformations, and if you don't believe me, well, just wait and watch. For those who are again new to me, my name is Sajady. I've had two near-death experiences, and I've been able to hone my abilities that we all have, by the way. So this is teachable. This is a teachable skill, and from that, you start to see life from a very different perspective, a higher level perspective. I call it the first principle. You start to understand life and why it happens to you, how it happens to you at a top level. And when you operate from that top level understanding, you bypass, things like emotion, psychology, belief systems. Well, that shit that hasn't worked for centuries. People are really, say, well, this shit doesn't work. Well, the shit that you're in doesn't work either, right? Look at your life. Look at science. Every decade, scientists go, well, shit, we were wrong a decade ago. Look at religion. It should have turned out better for you. Look at politics. Look at the way you raise your kids. Everything that you do, it could be a lot better. That's why the world is in the way it is. So we have to look for different scenarios. We can't hold on to our old identities, old patterns, or old solutions just because we think it's right. Look at the results that you're getting. If it's not getting you the right results, then I'm not saying it's wrong, but there probably is wrong. But just to be kind, I'm not saying it's wrong, but there's probably a better solution for you out there. And this is what I'm offering you, especially today on life advice. So we'll just jump right into it. Again, first half hour on this Moss on Sundays is life advice that will change your future. And then after that, live analysis on two individuals. If you'd like to be one of those individuals, my team will tell you on the chat on how to do that. All right. All righty. So life advice that will change your future. I was looking through YouTube and I was looking through all these things, and this came up: life advice that will change your future. And I listened to, like Elon Musk, he gave his graduation speech, Tony Robbins, Warren Buffett, Simon Sinek, all those individuals. And by the way, guys, I'm not saying anything is right or wrong. We have to get out of that platform or that paradigm of saying, hey, this is right, this is wrong. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just giving you better tools to help you observe what you're observing so you can make better decisions than your predecessors. Simple as that. Okay. And all these, I was listening to all these individuals, and they're really fantastic, fantastic life advice. I'd adhere to them, but then why aren't there more individuals who are successful? And then for those individuals who are successful, why aren't they happy? So that's the kind of questions that I ask myself, and I ask you again my life advice, and I'll give you my life advice throughout this topic. My life advice again is look for the deeper understanding on why life is the way it is. Okay, that's my first life advice for you. But when you start to look at all these individuals, you start to go, well, what is it that they're looking for? And then when I've witnessed enough elders who are famously successful, and they never go, well, Moss, I wish I had if I could have made just another $1 billion, I'd be really happy. Or, and by the way, I'm not knocking the rich. Poor people go, shit. I don't know why I couldn't figure out the abundance of life that was all around me, right? I couldn't even figure out wealth, which is a simple thing to do. So either way, on both sides, when they're older, when they're dying or close to death, you get to see their life advice. You get to see a true perspective on how their patterns or paradigms or belief systems work for them. Again, whether they're wealthy, because that's what most people, give life advice for, is like, this is how to be wealthy, and then you'll be happy. But then look at the wealthy people that aren't happy, and then look at the poor people that aren't happy. So where the hell do you go? And it gets really confusing, right? You can go crazy trying to figure this shit out, and most young people do go crazy. And then most young people, unfortunately, go against the system. So I'll tell you why they do go against the system. So in this brief session here, I'm not going to give you advice on what to do with your life. I'm not going to give you life advice on on how to become wealthy or how to become happy or how to become anything like that. Because for me, uh, being happy is very different than maybe for you. Although at the higher level principle, it's all the same, but at the level that most people say define themselves or think happiness occurs is very, very different. And I say this because people go, well, what's the first principle method? Well, we'd have to understand, say, the level that you're at to understand the first principle method or higher understandings of what makes us happy. Okay. Um, so let's take a deep breath in. And this is an experiential. There we go. This is an experiential show. So I'll work on you. Okay. So just take a deep breath in, just relax, kick back, and I'll work on you to help you instill what I'm talking about. That way, you can start shifting and changing. Many of you are actually probably feeling the frequencies already. So again, comment in if you are. That'd be really fantastic for those other people, again, who don't believe or who are new. All right? So the one thing that people, and I'll give you the logistics. Just give me a second here. So some of the tips that as I was watching these famous, fantastic individuals with really fantastic ideas on how to live life, is that whether it's your grandparents or again famous individuals like this, it's important to note that the life advice that they give you verbally is only about 1 to 3% max on what you really, really need to know. Okay, so no matter what they say at the surface level, right? Whether you're reading their books, listening to their audio, their seminars, or they're face to face with you, as far as grandparents and parents, right? Excuse me. The initial, again, the verbal communication is only about, say, 1%, if not less. Okay, their body, the image, their body, the frequencies, the physical frequencies that they're sending out, again, maybe another 7%. Okay, so the 93% that most people don't pay attention to is what actually is important for you to pay attention to. Okay, so what that means is that, again, it's not the life advice that they're giving you verbally. It's the life advice that they're giving you at a frequency level, not a physical frequency level, but it goes into your spirit. If you want to call it your spirit, I call it your timeless identity, your timeless frequency, your DNA at a DNA level and beyond. That's the life advice that you should pay attention to. Okay. And you might go, well, shit, that's way too deep. I don't know how to do that. And again, I'm sorry, I have a cold. So, or maybe I'm going through puberty. I don't know. Whichever, my voice is changing quite a bit. So whichever it is. So for example, let me give you an example. Your parents already gave you their advice through their genetics. Simple as that, right? How they're So let me explain how the DNA works. So you are the latest version of your parents' programming, right? Mother and father, parents' programming when you were born, and then you add a little bit of your life experiences on there, and then you give it off to your kids. So right off the bat, right, even before you were a single cell in your mom's belly, their life advice was imprinted upon you. Okay? So no matter what they say on the outside, no matter what they're doing, again, do as I say, not what I do. Okay, uh, that's the key. Is that you're 90% for some people, it's even a lot higher because they've lost control, even more. Over 90% of how you see life and where you think life is from your hereditary patterns, your DNA, not just your physical features, not just your illness patterns, but everything about you, again, is derived from your parents. And that's a long tradition. They came from their parents, and then their parents and their parents. So all that time, just think how many hundreds and hundreds of generations that you are a cumulative total of. That's the life advice that you've understood. That's the life advice that's running, that's operating your, say, machinery, your mechanism, your programming. Okay. Surface life advice, again, let's just say 10% of physical features here, 10% of physical understanding here. That's very different, right? If you got 90% going one way, no matter what the hell you do at that 10%, you're still going that direction, right? So that's the first life advice. And then also, society gives you life advice. Religions give you life advice. Government gives you life advice. But society already gave you life advice through the media, through your surroundings, what's been created and accepted as real. You think what this reality is, right? You observe it's real, it's living, and then you absorb it through your DNA. And then you think, well, this is the standard that society holds. It's worked for thousands of years, so my DNA is going to adapt to whatever's working around me. So your DNA will adapt to how society ages. Your DNA will adapt to, say, the abuse patterns, the sacrifice patterns, the lack patterns, the control patterns that this society is created from, this reality is created from. You adapt. So what I'm trying to say is that your DNA is a living mechanism. It's always observing what's around itself. Okay. It's very fluid, very, very fluid. It's not like you just inherit your DNA and then that's it. It's solid. And then there you go. It's not like that at all. Your DNA every second is adapting to its environment. It's called evolution. It's called the process of evolution. Very different process, by the way, than what most scientists think about what evolution is about. Very, very different. So your DNA, very fluid. Your senses, very fluid. It adapts to what's survived. And as it adapts to what survived, no matter what it is, again, no matter what it is, it's adapted. It always adapts to what survived, because think of it in the animal world, right? The strongest animal survives, and then their genetics get passed on uh, to future generations. Humans don't do that. So humans adapt, right? Humans, and then the strongest survive. So, but if the strong survive through hook and crook and abuse and control, that's what you're learning. That's the life advice that you've been given. Okay. So my suggestion to you is that, I know it looks bleak, but actually, if you do it right, it's the you can excel beyond anything of this reality and be the best possible self. I do it all the time. I've done it with hundreds of thousands of people. I can help you as well. So look around you, and what has survived is the advice that you were given. Again, no matter what they say at a verbal level, that's the advice that you're absorbing. Okay, so if your parents, for example, say that your parents are or doesn't have to be your parents, but say that you're learning from somebody super, super wealthy, right? And they're telling you their life advice. And it's really fantastic. I'm not saying the logistics on how they got wealthy is anything wrong with that at all. Unless they destroyed, millions of people to do that. I would say that's wrong. But for the most part, again, most people don't do that. So they got super wealthy. Okay. And they're telling you the physical logistics. But underneath, they sacrificed everything for their wealth. So as they teach you the logical advice, the physical advice that you need to get wealthy, like the habits, like son, work hard, be smart, understand your industry, all those things. What you're observing is that they sacrificed everything to get to their wealth. So what you're doing when you start to work hard, work smart, be the expert in your industry, uh, the big portion of what your DNA on the down low is observing or adapting to is that, well, this guy made it. He's very successful. And the underlying mechanism, because your DNA is learning, not your brain, not your cognitive sense, your DNA is learning. And it's like, oh, the real reason why this guy is successful is because he sacrificed everything that he had for his wealth. So what you're going to do, whether it's mentorship, and I did a talk, Moss on Sundays, on mentorship and how to do it right, by the way. So what you're learning through this person, again, the big bulk of what you're learning, the big chunk that your DNA is adapting to, not your conscious mind, which is only, again, 1 to 3% of who you are, is you sacrifice in this situation. Now, I don't want to knock down the wealthy, because middle income and poor people go, well, that's why I don't want to become wealthy. So I'll give you an example on the poor, right? Giving you life advice from the poor. And you hear this from parents all the time. They're poor. They tell you why they couldn't make it. Right? So in that situation, right? It's like, son, shit, I couldn't make it. I tried everything. I tried this, and this, and this, and they'll give you reasons why they couldn't make it, whatever it is. Again, at a surface level, and it's like, well, at a DNA level, what are they telling you? Again, over 90% of what you're absorbing or what you're learning from them, right? Because it's not a cognitive understanding or teaching. It is a frequency level. Whenever you're with somebody or within the environment, you're learning, you're absorbing how the environment survives, and that's what you take on as life advice. So in the poor situation, what happens is like, son, I couldn't figure out life for some reason. I couldn't even figure out the simple process of having money. So what I'm going to do is like, here, you take on all my burdens and then carry my work so you can figure it out. Well, again, so where does that leave you for those individuals, right? Those individuals who have broken free, by the way, and I'll give you just an example, right? Say that you came from a poor family, because a lot of times, people come from poor families, right? From rags to riches, right? There's a ton of stories, and they're hero stories. But in those stories, what you're learning is that you have to actually transcend and break down into a rag type situation, an obsolete situation, a desolate situation, before you'll get rich. Check it out. Those individuals who have followed mentors or who have followed parents from, again, a rags to riches situation, every single time, they've gone bankrupt several times. They've done a shitload of stuff, again, to break everything down so they can create that scenario, recreate that scenario of rags, and then they become very famous or become very wealthy. So again, that's just an example. There's tons and tons and tons of examples on those types of situations each and every day. So my life advice to you is, oh, by the way, before I give you that life advice, is that this is the number one reason why young adults, especially in their teenage years, are so against their parents and society. The number one reasons why kids don't listen to their parents, because at a frequency level, at a genetic structure, at your DNA, your core level, not your cognitive level, but your core level, okay, that young being is looking and analyzing, and it's going, and it's going in a, the body brain, and it's looking at it. It's like, well, fuck, you you gave up everything for wealth or not wealth or whatever, and I don't want to do that. I'm actually here to really say flourish in life. There shouldn't be an exchange, because in your inherent, say, abilities, in your inherent right to be abundant, you wouldn't have to sacrifice to become abundant. By the way, that's not becoming abundant. You wouldn't have to sacrifice to be good. You wouldn't have to be controlled to be, again, wealthy or whatever the hell people want in this life. So this is the number one reason why kids go no. And in today's world, it's becoming more prevalent. This is why a lot of young people are standing up. Because if you look at young individuals, right, they fight in their teenage years, they can't figure their shit out. And then what happens? They go back and turn into their parents by the time they're 25, 26, 27 years old, straight out, right? And then they go, well, that's just the way life is. No, it's not. It's just that you couldn't figure it out. Simple as that, right? I'm not saying you're dumb or anything, but most of society, again, can't figure that out. That's why we keep repeating the same shit, same wars, same political mechanisms, same belief systems, same relationships. Everything keeps repeating itself. This is the reason why. So in today's society, it's gotten to a level where consciousness has gotten to a level where we're going, shit, guys, if you can't figure it out, we're gonna come in. Consciousness is gonna come in and literally push you into the brink of understanding what you need to do to evolve, because you're holding up, you're holding up the universe, you're holding up nature, the planetary systems, and the universe. Human consciousness is. So at a bigger picture, that's what's happening, by the way. So in this situation, kids are going, no. They don't want their religions that didn't work for their parents. I'm not saying those religions are wrong, but it didn't work out for society or the parents. By the way, anti-religion, right? Not believing in religion and going towards science, that shit didn't work either, guys. So don't pat yourself on the back going, wow, I knew this guy was against. I'm not against religion. I'm against things that don't work, right? And my life advice to you, again, is that you observe everything, right? Observe everything around you without judgment. Simple as that. Don't make any decisions, because the decisions are based on your DNA, your genetic makeup, right? No matter what you think it is, right? Just observe for the moment, right? Especially if you haven't done anything with exponential intelligence. It's the body of knowledge that I tap into after my second near-death experience. Or if you haven't done the 18-day meditations, by the way, that's coming up on June 7th, fastest way to transform your life in 18 days. You'll start to shift by the first day, by the way. So, and that's coming up June 7th. So take a look at that. If you are new, don't take the essential class. No matter how successful you are, no matter how brilliant you think you are, do not take the advanced class. It will fuck you up. It'll just mess you up enough, because it's very fast changes in a very short period of time. So it does get intense, although it's better for you. It just messes you up. So again, if you're new, I would invite you to take the essential only, just so you get the hang of how fast you can change, and the mechanics on how to change. Okay. But my life advice is, again, if you're not going to do anything with me, that's fine too. But observe everything around you without judgment. Right? It's like, oh shit, that guy just beat somebody up, and don't go, oh, what color was that guy? That kind of deal, right? So when you just observe, notice your prejudices, notice your weaknesses, notice those things. When you're just straight out observing, notice the inconsistencies on how you think. That will tell you the patterns that you are running just straight off the bat. And I'll give you an example. Most women who got raped, okay? Most women who get raped, the first question the parents ask the daughter, was it a black guy? It's just straight out. You can look it up. So again, that's the frequencies, that's the prejudice that people run, even if they're not It's in the DNA because it's in society's DNA, right? Again, nothing against blacks or whites or anything like that. But I'm just telling you to observe how society thinks at a deeper level. What's it been ingrained in you? So when you observe without judgment and just observe, that guy got beaten up. My mom's not happy, and just straight out. It's not like my mom's not happy because X, Y, Z, and all that. You don't do that. You just observe. My mom's not happy. Straight out. I don't have any money. Right? You don't go, well, I don't have any money because the government sucks, and I came from a broken home, or I came from a wealthy home and I hated it. All that bullshit. You just go, hey, I have money problems, and just observe how you have money problems. Okay, and then what happens after that is that so overall, let me give you my thesis and then I'll break it down for you instead of breaking it down and giving you my thesis. Observe everything around you without judgment, and then adapt what you observe or to fit to your needs, towards your goal or towards your destiny. So no matter what environment you're in, right, adapt what you're learning from that environment to help you go towards your needs. So then there is no good, there's no bad. You're just adapting everything that you need, again, to get you to the destiny that you deserve. Okay. Some of you will go, well, hey, I don't know my destiny. Well, that's where you go back and you just observe everything without judgment. Just observe everything without judgment. You brush your teeth. I'm brushing my teeth. And that's it. Notice the emotions as you just observe what you're physically doing in time and space. And as you observe what you're doing in time and space, you'll start to see all the judgment, all the bullshit, all the patterns, all the scenarios, all the belief systems that aren't incongruent to your destiny. But as you observe, you become so present in real time, in time and space, that your destiny will start to show forth for you. So especially for young individuals, again, that way you move away from society's patterns, your genetic makeup even, and you walk away into a very different direction. This is where, the new generation, and people go, well, that's bullshit. You can't walk away. I've done it, hundreds, thousands and thousands of people. People are aging very differently. They're not getting ill like their parents, nothing like that. Again, very, very different. Their physical structure, the way they look, they age very differently than their parents. So it's already happening. Okay, so it's already working, whether you believe it or not. So as we end, and then we'll get into a nice deep meditation, and then we'll bring on those two individuals. Sorry, my cat's making a little noise here. So as we end, observe everything around you without judgment. And as you observe without judgment, observe everything around you. So let me just break it down a bit more for you, hey buddy. Is that if you're holding onto your phone, notice how you're holding onto your phone. Okay. When you're walking, notice how you're walking. Right? Don't be out somewhere else. Notice how you're walking, and you'll start to see it's like, wow, I'm walking like my dad, or I'm walking like my mom, whatever it might be. Those things are what dictates how you experience life. Okay? And as you do, if you start not liking it, then that's where you start to change. That's where you start to change your identity. And that's where you start to say you can say wealth. You can have wealth without the sacrifice or the control or anything else. All right. So let's take a deep breath in. A strong deep breath in again. Just noticing your chest. And again, some of you on the comments, we can work on you here. So we'll do a couple things. One, frequencies to give you what I just talked about, the life advice. So you start to observe more efficiently. Notice your face. And then two, we'll do a world meditation on the leaders of the world. because they always say they're doing the best thing for us. So just helping them do the best thing for us, right? Not their best thing, but humanity's best thing for us. Because that's what they said. They're doing the best thing for us. So helping them with that. So take a deep breath in again. Notice your shoulders. And let me help you remove. Well, I can't. I won't remove. What we'll do in this quick hyper meditation is that I'll help you see the filters that you see life through. So again, all you have to do is observe, pay attention to your body. Notice your shoulders. Notice the point on your forehead, right between your eyebrows, a few inches above. So a triangle. Breath in again, observing that triangle. Again, it's my work is not about psychology, not hypnotizing you, not asking you to visualize anything. I'm changing your structure, your sensory perception. That goes beyond the five senses to help you adapt to your world from a very, very different level without the filters. Notice the triangle. There we go. Now, don't comment in now, but afterwards, do you feel cleaner? You feel separated from your belief systems, your judgment, your emotions, your logic, your wisdom. So, what I did was separate your real identity, pureness of who you are. Yeah. The pureness of who you are compared to all the filters of who you think you are. And just making it easier for you to observe what you're observing or observe how you're observing or absorbing knowledge and information. And then from there, it's your choice. You can choose to keep what you're observing, or you can choose to let go. And what I do helps you understand that more. we go. And for the world leaders, as we end, working on all of them. And if there's a talk I did on that. I forgot which Moss on Sunday it was. To give you the mechanics or the logistics on how that works. But again, helping them do what's best for us, because that's what they promise. Sometimes they get derailed by thinking what's best might not be the best for us. It's like parents, right? There we go. So before we end, I just want to read this comment. I'm maybe 2 weeks into listening to Moss, and I've already experienced changes. I'm kind of spooked. Yep. So when you listen to me, it's not about what I say. I could just sit here and actually talk about my little kitty cat. He always comes up when I start a meditation. Animals love the frequencies. But again, it's not about what I say. It's about the frequencies that we resonate or send out. Right? So these are pure frequencies, closer to nature, by the way, and a little bit more potent, obviously, and that's what you're experiencing. And that's what you always want to get back into, by the way. So your life destiny, your life mission, your life purpose, your life goal is getting back to your natural, purest state as you can in your lifetime. And that's what you would hand down to your children and then their children and so on. But then again, people have gotten really confused. They think it's about, slaving their life away for the money that at the end of life doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that you live with that money. You don't live with that money. It just means that you create money from a very different perspective, right? Living in poverty or somewhere in between, that's not you either, right? So we will be back in just about a minute, and then we'll take on two individuals where I'll analyze them in real time, and then you get to see how fast one can change. All right, so we'll be right back. Hey, buddy.
Did you know that the same attributes that you need for high-level success are the same attributes that high-performance drivers have?
All right, guys, we are back. Fantastic. So, because of today's society, I have to read this disclaimer. This is Sajady with Exponential Intelligence, XI, Sunday, May 30th, 2021. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't diagnose or heal. I can scan your frequency signature and tell you what I see. It's not your energy system, by the way. It's your frequencies. But if you want to call it your spirit, you can, but again, very diluted. Please consult your doctor or for professional advice. Again, I'm not a doctor, financial analyst, or anything like that. If you ask to be scanned today, by the way, you are agreeing that we may use your session on any public media to help you inspire others. So remember, if you don't want us to share your session, please don't ask to be scanned. Right? Today we got two individuals, so they've already asked to be scanned. All contents are protected by copyright. You may not use our content in any way, shape, or form for any purpose without my written permission. All right. So we do that because there's a lot of copycats, which is really the fantastic form of appreciation. But again, don't use our content. All right. We will go to Rhonda first. Hopefully everything works out well. Hi, Rhonda. How are you?
Hi, Moss. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And it's okay for me to analyze you.
Yes, definitely.
All right. And again, I don't get into the personal stuff because that's just a, one-on-one, but I'll just give you the generalities if that makes sense to you, if that's okay.
Yes.
All righty. And what's your background with exponential intelligence, XI?
I've done the 18 days
Okay.
recently and the personal optimization. So
Perfect.
I've only been with you about a couple of months listening to old podcasts.
Okay. And how's it going for you?
Uh,
And I'll tell you, or I can let me analyze you, and
yeah,
then you tell me if it's
great.
accurate. That way, people will go, well, he's trying to figure shit out, and try to read you and stuff like that. Again, I don't run. I don't need to. You don't need to be in front of me. I don't need to know anything about you to analyze your frequency signature. Again, the mechanics on my abilities. It's in a podcast somewhere in there. And I'm not going to take the time to discuss that here. But for you, Rana, what you've done with me, and that's why I asked, you've actually awakened to a point, I want to say the last, say, month or two, you've awakened to the point and you're pushing this attitude or dominant frequency that's always, dominated you your whole life. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Even as a young child,
Yes.
was it your grandfather or your father that just like dominated you? Whether it's through, abrasiveness or just out of pure love, because both both ways, and I'll explain. Both ways get you the same effect. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, was it through abrasiveness or I kind
No.
of see both? Okay, it's through pure love, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So when say that you don't have a mom that's there all the time, and then you have a very, very, say, dominant, overprotective father or grandfather. Was it a grandfather or father?
Mhm. It was through the father.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Through the father, but a dominant grandmother.
Dominant grandmother.
His
Okay.
mother. Yes.
Got it. So that grandmother feels, so maybe that's why I'm seeing the father, but then the genetic makeup again of a dominant, say, grandmother, again, very, very
Yes.
loving. But okay, so that's what kind of confusing me.
Yes.
By the way, I don't get like physical sexes. I get like frequencies. So if somebody is like really running feminine patterns, for example, your grandmother is really running strong masculine patterns in a
Yes.
loving way. Does that make
Yes.
sense to you? So
Yes.
I would pick her up as a grandfather. Simple as that. So when that happens, there's always, imagine that if you were a tree, their shade is always protecting you, but then it limits you to your growth, and then you never experience life. So do you mind sharing how old you are? And you can just give a range. I'm in my
I'm 63.
53. Yeah.
63.
63. Okay,
Yes.
fantastic. You seem a little younger. So physically, you might, obviously, you look younger than 63. There's a reason for that because that shade hasn't allowed you to really experience life. So physically, you've slowed down the aging process. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
So you would be, again, when I see you, you're in your like 50s, age-wise, physical-wise, but socially, emotionally, and so on. Again, you're almost like in your 40s or early 40s or life experiences. You haven't really experienced life, and now you're getting again older, and now this is the tension that's building up, and it always has built up, especially when you were physically like in your late 30s. From what I'm seeing, it's like shit. Life. It's like your life is moving forward, and you feel like you're getting held back. in your
Yes.
late 30s, you know what I mean? And then as you get older and older, well, it's going faster and faster, and it's like, well, fuck, am I ever going to make it, or did I miss that train? Right? And then this is where you start aging, or you go, well, shit, I'm just going to start aging like your father or your grandmother, and then you turn, again, you turn into your father or your grandfather. So through the work that you've done with me, the brief work that you've done with me, you're separating that identity. You're starting to see you, and then you're starting to see their patterns. So it's a separation, and I'm working on you now to separate you even more. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The way you would see it is that it's like, say you do something, even if it's something simple like washing the dishes. It's like you'd wash the dishes and you go, whoa, grandmother used to do this. That kind of feel,
Hmm.
and it's like, do I want to do it? And it's not that it's good or bad, but again, if grandmother did that and you're repeating that same pattern or the same behavior, most likely you're absorbing or you're doing other things like aging the way you think your relationships are of your, say, grandmothers as well. So again, removing that from you, so you get that. So it's like you start to experience life. Another say symptom that you would feel is that your life is not yours. No matter
Yes.
what you do, intimacy, and not to get too personal, but let's just say intimacy hasn't been the best for you because you don't feel that vibrancy. It's like even if you did have intimacy, it's like, okay, what's all the hubbub that people talk about? Why can't I connect, or what am I missing out? Because it's not you that's being intimate. It's that pattern, again, of somebody else being intimate. Does that make
Uh,
sense to you?
yes.
Yeah. So that's why I say love is kind of escaped you. It's like, why can't I really connect with somebody? Right? Why can't I have that deep passion that you've always wanted? Right? Why can't you have that deep passion, or why can't you have that deep passion that when you were a young little girl that you saw that love from your father come through? That he had that deep, deep love for you, that
Right.
nurturing love for you, right? And
Yes.
it's like, well, why is that missing? Well, because again, he's basically encased you in that space. Did he try to protect you from your mom, by the way?
From who?
From your mother? I don't
No.
see your mom around you. Or
No.
if
She was always there.
she might have physically been there, but let's just say
Yeah.
emotion.
Definitely. Yeah.
Um, oh, did she come? She came from. Um, I see it like an abuse pattern or alcoholic type family.
Mm, no. Um, Very poor.
Yeah, I see that. Kind of like again, like I said, an abuse type pattern or alcoholic pattern. They kind
She.
of run similar to me. So like deep religion that becomes um, like shit. They used to beat people up if you did something wrong or if you swore, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Religious background. Yes.
Yeah. So it's weird, but when I see that, the religious background that you and I explained, and then alcoholism and the abuse around alcoholism is really very, very similar pattern. So sometimes I get confused. Yeah. So she comes from that. So again, protecting you from that space. So do you have any questions, by the way?
Just what you were talking about earlier about the DNA patterns.
Mhm.
So our DNA has learned patterns.
Yep.
When those patterns aren't good for us, are those the confirming deletions that we're doing and then trying to move into another pattern?
Yep. Yep. So what you're doing where you are, and you're learning really fast, which is really impressive because I think you've wanted this again, even in your early 20s. I think
Yes.
in your early 20s, you're going, something happened to you at 21 or 22. It's like, shit, there's got to be a better way. And,
Yes.
since then was your life trajectory to figure out what you're doing. So it took you a little bit to get to
Yeah.
XI, but back then, we didn't have XI.
Yeah.
So yes. So you're going to start to see, like I said, how, like your shoulder structure is not yours. It's not Rhonda's shape. It literally is, I don't know if it's your mom's, or I don't know. It's not your shape. So you start to look at your body, for example, and go, wait, that's so-and-so's, body shape. And then when you observe that, your physical form starts to change to what Rhonda would experience like her upper half to be like. Does that
Okay.
make sense? What you would
Yes.
experience that. And you'll start to see that your facial structure will change because you look very close to somebody, or a merging of two people, not your mom or dad, but somebody, the next generation up. You'll start to see that. Sometimes when you look in the mirror, again, you'll start to see, say, some other person's essence in you, which is really, it might be a little scary for you, but that DNA pattern is leaving you, and then you start to feel like yourself. There's something going on. I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but blood type issues in your family. Your family seems to have blood that starts to break down, or is very.
I have the antibody. My body's attacking itself.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that, okay, yeah. So that's what it is. So the white blood cell, yeah. So that's what I see. It's like it starts to break down the blood. So even those things, again, I can't guarantee anything for you on it, but I would do some private sessions and see how that can turn around. And some of you might go, well, shit, you can't change that stuff. Hell, you can. There's so many people that have changed. There's so many with genetic issues. So that we
I
call them
believe it.
genetic issues. Those things change, guys. Once the DNA adapts, they change. I'm working on this young girl. She's had 5 heart surgeries by the time she's 10, and they're trying to replace her heart. She's been working with me for just for under a month, and she's actually the best she's ever experienced. She's 25 now, and again, the last month and a half, she feels like a normal person for the first time, and her heart is actually working out well. So we're trying to get some clinical data off her heart on how much she's changed there. So again, for you, why don't you're going to look at even those things, and you're going to go, I don't need that shit anymore, because you're such a
Right.
thriving woman, but you just haven't had that chance to go, God, I just want to live life. And that's what you wanted in your 20s. I say that because you're going to experience some of the things that you missed out when you're 25, 26,
Right.
27. And then, so
Awesome.
if that experience shows up for you or something similar, don't hesitate. Just grab it.
Okay.
Don't go, I'm
I'm
too
good with
old.
that.
Does that make sense to you? Huh?
Yes, I'm good with that. I've been feeling like I've been in a void, like confirming deletions,
Mm-hmm.
but not knowing how to push forward
Yep.
into the next pattern.
Right. So just keep confirming your deletions. And for those people who are new, so Rhonda, again, she's seeing what's her, and then she's seeing what's not her. And then she's basically saying no to what's not her. And then, so once you say no, because there's so much of you that's not you, hon, you just have to keep saying no, 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 no. And then as you clean, say you're cleaning out your garage, and then say a new space will open up for you. And hopefully after this quick session, you'll start to see, say, new opportunities show up for you. So I was bringing that in as well. So there's an opportunity that'll show up for you that want to, like the next week and a half, less than 2 weeks. There's an opportunity that kind of seems really absurd or strange to you. It's like, why is it showing up now? Because it's something that you wanted when you were about 35, 36.
Oh,
So
wow.
and so that shows up. It's like, whoa. And then it wakes you up to, again, going back to around that age frame. So take that opportunity, and then that's how more and more opportunities show up for you. Okay. And that's that direction that you want. So really
Great.
good space to do. I would really suggest doing the 18 days.
I'm doing the next one.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Anything else as we end? Really nice job, by the way.
No, that was great. Thank you.
Anything else anything that you want to say to, I don't know, the people that might not believe or think that it's not real? I know you're still new, but
Definitely. Yes, this is worth the process. Like you said, it's something I've been looking for, and it's confirming everything I've been looking for most of my adult life. And I've realized that letting the process happen is the most important thing that's working for me. Uh,
perfect.
the energy that you're sending out is resonating with what I've been looking for in my energy.
Hmm.
It's a lot to take in, but
Yes.
I'm letting it absorb and going with the flow.
Awesome. Guys, fantastic life advice from Rhonda here. So again, Rhonda, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to actually maybe on the people that we invite, Yami is technical director here. Maybe we could re-invite you, maybe in about 2-3 months,
That
and
would be
kind of do a
great.
before and after. I
That would
think
be
that'd be
great.
important for you.
Yes. I
We
would
did
love
that
that.
on the 13 ways to heal your love pain. So if you haven't done that, sign
I've
up for the
already
newsletter.
listened. Yes.
Yeah. So sign up for the newsletter. It's 13
Got it.
ways to heal your love pain. And
That's
then at the
awesome.
end, we did before and after on the people that I worked on, just like you did. And
Okay.
amazing changes. So
Thank you, Moss.
thank you so much. Take care.
You too.
We'll go to Robert. Hey, Robert. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. And again, it's okay for me to analyze you, see what's going on.
Absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. Any your XI experience with me? Have you been with it long, not long? Or,
Just rather recent. I joined and listened to some of the
Mhm.
beginner stuff. Started
Awesome.
with the podcast and lectures.
Perfect. So again, just to jump in, Robert, because of time. So you run from a very fearful pattern, right? So you're always observing, you're always testing the waters. You're not sure, so you want to make sure that what you're testing or your testing kit is like conducive to where you want to go, because yeah, because if your testing kit is miscalibrated, then you'll always get the same results every your life situation. So say that you've tried to resolve your life, or try to say get out of your life, or try to improve upon your life at least like 5, 6, 7 times. Seems like you've tried a lot of things back in the day, but then you kind of keep falling back into the same old patterns. That makes sense to you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So, and maybe some extreme things. I don't know if you've done kind of like, I don't know, like an ayahuasca journey, or, group meditations, those types of things as well.
I
If that
haven't,
makes sense.
I haven't done ayahuasca, but I've been getting more into the meditation and stuff in the last 2 years.
Awesome. So what you want to do, Robert, for you especially, because you're an absorber of your environment, you basically hold on to people's garbage. Like you hang out with somebody next to a bus or on a plane, you walk away with their garbage. So be mindful on 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 how you say yeah, be mindful in group meditations, because the type of person that you are, a group meditation, people tend to say release all their stuff, and then all those things will filter down into you. That's why you might say feel really good in a group meditation, and then afterwards it's very, very heavy for you. That makes sense to you? So that would be the reason why. So back in the day when you were when you were really, really young, it's almost like your parents just kept pushing you. I see your mom just pushing you and pushing you, and well, you never did anything right, by the way. From what I'm saying, you never did anything right. Nothing was ever good enough. No matter how good you did, again, nothing was ever good enough. And you're just going like, as a little kid, you're going like, oh shit, and then you experience that so often, you go, am I ever good? Am I ever right? And then your whole life now is that you are just going, well, you're always proving to yourself that, no, I'm here, I'm worthy. Basically, I'm worth something. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say though that my parents necessarily. What you said there was more so myself kind of being critical and having to be perfect on everything for a while, like, and
Okay.
especially in school and things like that.
Right. So, okay. So say that your parents didn't say that, but say your mother was very critical of herself. She could never do anything right. Let's just say. Does that make sense? and then you absorb that from your mother or your father. Does that make sense to you?
I'd probably be more on my father's side. I think he has a what you're saying kind of sounds like coming from him.
Okay. So, okay. Yeah. So tapping into your father. So your father, his mom was like that, always criticizing him. So if you look at it, or so the way he questions himself all the time. Okay. So if you think of it, this is the way you question yourself. So anyway, so there's a pattern where somebody's always criticizing somebody. Okay. So in this case, again, it's a step up, and I'll just talk about that in just a second. So your father, say, is always being criticized by his mom. So if your father's still around, I would ask him, right? And when you're younger, again, the same scenario, like nothing is ever good enough. So what happens in your father's life is, well, he's never good enough. And then always criticizing himself. If you love your father or you connect with your father closely, well, it's like, hey, I just want to be, like dad. So what do? You just become like your dad. And then that's where you absorb. And then as a young kid, nothing is ever good enough for you. So either way, it's the critical frequency in you. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So and as I'm just explaining that because I'm helping you disconnect at a frequency level, your father's pattern. So you'll see changes in your father, by the way. Is your father still around?
Yes. I live with him.
Oh, that's another thing too. As you integrate, you adapt to your father's needs. So that's why he comes up as well for you. Got it. Okay. So let's separate. So that's that separation that you need. So take a deep breath in, buddy. Notice your right side. Yeah. You're right. Your right side. If you start to notice people who are in need or want help from you, they'll always sit on your right side, Robert.
Really?
Yep. So, and because your right side is just like open, it's just like an open port, and people just like plug into you. So your father is literally stabilizing himself through you. And you might think you're the unstable one, but again, you're supporting 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, like 4 people in your life. That's why you feel unstable. So it's your father. I don't know if it's I don't see you having a girlfriend or a wife or partner or anything like that. Although, because with this pattern, even if you did have a relationship, it wouldn't be a connected relationship because you'd lose your identity. And that's what happens to you in relationships. You basically lose your identity. And then after a while, you go, shit, I got to get out of here. Does that make sense? Or they might break up with you because it's like, damn, that, and the way relationships work for you is that, say that, I'll give you one scenario, is that you connect with somebody and then all their garbage comes into you. And then they see the garbage that they have in you. And it's like, shit, it's because of them. I have this garbage. I need to disconnect from them. That makes sense? So they blame you for the shit that they have. Simple as that. Because again, you're a reflector of that. So take a deep breath in again. Let's just block off that right side. And by the way, as I work on one individual, like Robert here, I'll be working on you if you have of similar issues. Okay. So after the session, what you'll experience is that one, well, you're a very sensitive person, by the way. And the reason why you're so sensitive is that you're always trying to protect yourself. At a deeper level, what I just said is the reason why you're always trying to protect yourself, or you're hypersensitive around you. You're very aware, you're very sensitive to people's emotions and so on. But again, you might think, well, I'm just a kind person. Well, you are. You're a very fantastic guy, very loving and everything. But the underlying reason why you're hypersensitive to people is because you're always analyzing. It's like, okay, is this person's gonna dump their garbage on me? But you just didn't know how to say protect yourself. So I'm helping you with that. So after this session, you'll probably feel like antagonistic, which is okay for you. You'll probably get very short, say with your father or these other 3 relationships that you've had. And that's okay. The reason why is because you're literally protecting your space so you can create a nice space. Basically what you're asking is that, hey guys, just leave me alone for a little bit. Let me understand who I am. This is your process that you're going to go through. So you might shut yourself out. You might want to just feel isolated for a bit because that's that's how you have to go through. Even Robert, even Jesus went through, he went away in the woods for, I don't know how many years, 10 years or so, and he came back, right? Buddha did the same thing. I did the same thing. So we all go through this process. So for you, it's a little more extreme. You'll isolate yourself. Even if you're in with a group or anybody, you'll feel isolated. And that's because for you to understand who you are, you can't absorb any other people's frequencies. But it'll actually feel really good because for the first time, you'll actually feel like you. And then you'll know what Robert wants. Right? And you'll start to see it's like, hey, you know what? I am a good person. I did this good. I did this good. And you'll start to see, let's say, the brilliance that other people see in you and other people get attracted to you for a short while. And then later on, they go, well, he's not that brilliant. Does that make sense to you? If that happens? You know how people get attracted to you because you're very creative and you're loving and you've got really good ideas. And then after a while, it's like, and they might not be that impressed with you. The reason why is like what I just said. They just dumped all their shit on you and then they're seeing their garbage on you. It's like, well, he's not all that. But you actually are, my friend. If you remove all that stuff and then your brilliance or your creativity keeps flowing for you without like getting diluted or distorted. So that's the main theme. You absorb other people's patterns. Do you have any questions? Did all that make sense to you?
For the most part, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what part did make sense?
What part didn't?
Yeah.
Did?
Didn't.
I was going to more so comment on just the fact that I've kind of been doing that already, is the, being by myself kind of deal.
Okay.
I'm trying to detach a little bit, and I haven't spent a whole lot of time with my friends at all lately.
Yep. Yeah, especially if you're doing the XI thing, that's why. So I'm just giving you a heads up. So don't think that, oh shit, now I'm losing my friends and stuff, because you might lose your friends. Especially there's one, I don't know, it feels like a feminine frequency, but it might be a guy. Is it a guy? Yeah, he's very feminine. So I might pick him up. I might be off by the sex, but he's very, it feels like a masculine, a man, yeah, a male, but very feminine. He'll probably get really bitchy at you because he can't push and control you. So you might probably lose him. So just be aware that he's entangled in you because, again, you're that anchor for a lot of people. Your father will really start to admire you in a very short time because you figured it out. You figured out, it's like, shit. It's like, Robert actually figured out how to be himself, because he'll see that as you separate from your father, and your father's not going to antagonize you like some fathers. It's like, damn, Robert figured it out. That gives me a chance to figure out and understand life as well. So you guys will actually get closer without the distortions or the entanglement. That makes sense for you, my friend?
Yep. Yeah.
So, any other questions before we end?
You had mentioned something about the toolkit at the beginning. Could you maybe go back to that and elaborate on that a little bit more? Because
sure. Right. So the toolkit that I was what you're talking about, right? Not in your session.
Yeah.
So the toolkit is literally the XI, exponential intelligence toolkit. Basically, it gives you the logistics and it goes beyond emotions, behavior patterns, logic at the level that most people are at. It gives you a higher level understanding of emotions, behaviors, again, logic. So that's the toolkit. To get that, or to access it, or to unlock your toolkit, what I just talked about, again, being observing, what I worked on you, again, your isolation of yourself. And, people go, well, I've been isolated all my life. People who are like that, the reason why isolation didn't work for you is because you're trying to protect yourself. So you're not learning, you're just trying to defend who you are. Okay. So again, that's why isolation doesn't work. Again, when you start to isolate, you'll really go inward, and you'll start to see all the blessings and the creativity. And you'll start to go back in time and go, wait, that moment where I thought I was ridiculous or it didn't work, it actually did work for me. So you'll start to see all those patterns as well. And that's where, again, that's where the toolkit starts coming in. That's where your logic comes in. But most importantly, the confidence in who you are without like shifting or anything like that will show up for you. And that's the strong foundation that you need. And then from there, if you did the 18 days, or kept listening to the podcast and all that, you'll start to gain that confidence, that deep down internal confidence that you need. All right, buddy?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of a very short time that you'll get into, again, the toolkit, or again, a very new way. You're very creative, by the way. I can help you. Your creativity, you basically have to sacrifice something to get creative. And that's how, say, some artist types are. Whether you're an artist or creative, that's how most creatives work. You don't have to do that. You don't have to, again, sacrifice to see creativity or experience creativity. That makes sense for you?
Yep.
Yeah. So you don't have to do that. Again, I help a lot of artists do it very differently. Any other questions as we end? Somebody's saying that your eyes changed, looks brighter and relaxed now. You're actually starting. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Well,
you're more, well, even if I read you, you're just more like relaxed. You're not trying to gauge how I'm seeing you. That makes sense to you?
mm-hmm.
You're just like, hey, this is just me. I'm just going to be me. Does that make sense? You're just like,
I'm listening, and I'm connecting with what you've been saying, and not really worried about anything right now.
Yeah. So observe that, Robert. The number one thing I can tell you right now to do when you're communicating with people, observe how you feel now. Okay. And then observe how you connect with other people, and you're very, very intuitive. So basically what you do is like you connect with other people, and it's like, what does that person want to see in me? And then you reflect it back. So you'll start to go, fuck, I don't need that anymore, man. I just know who I am. This is it. If they don't like it, well, I'm sorry. We'll find somebody else. So nice job, buddy.
Nice. Thank you.
You are welcome. Yeah. Robert, you are amazing. A lot of beautiful comments. I would suggest you're sitting up taller. Yeah, beautiful things. I would go back through the comments, my friend, and you'll see that confidence coming in through you. So
thanks, everyone.
Yeah. All right, buddy. All righty, guys. So as we come back, as we end, guys, the 18 days starting on June 7th, we have the driving event. It's still time to sign up online. Not anything, you can't attend live. We've closed that section off. But if you want to experience high performance wealth, fastest way to literally help you understand or absorb the wealth attitudes, you can still join online. So take a look at that at xiperformance.com/drive. Take a look at that, or you can go to sajady.com and then go to XI Performance from there. And then the 18 days, that'll start on the 7th coming up. Again, if you're new, take the essential. Right? Not the accelerated. It'd be too powerful for y'all. Also, we'll have a couples event coming up. Oh, one last thing. There've been a lot of cases where people or where kids, I've gotten a lot of parents go, "Hey, Moss, my kids started cutting themselves or hurting or abusing themselves all out of the blue. What's happening?" So, so I'll give you the explanations on why that's happening, and then also I've helped over the past month at least about a dozen kids. And these are kids, very beautiful kids, and the therapists go, well, they need more drugs and all that stuff. Like 1 or 2 sessions, and again, they're really good. They reset back to themselves. So there's a reason for why that happens. So take a look at that for that talk. And then also another one on the vaccines, my rendition. I predicted a lot of things. I actually predicted a virus coming through, even like 2, 3 years ago. I predicted Bitcoin. I predicted a lot of things that have come through. So I'm not going to tell you the scientific facts or anything like that on vaccines and all that. I'm just going to tell you the predictions or the future, basically future vision on what's happening, what'll happen in the future, which bypasses, facts and all that stuff, because facts don't matter. It matters on what happened, what actually will happen. Again, being very accurate. So I'm going to give you a future vision on, say, what's happening because of the result of COVID and the vaccines. All right. So that's coming up as well. So take a look at that. And those things, I think both of them might be free events for you. I believe. Don't take me up on that. I'm not sure. The team is going to, talk coming up for the youth. They just put the link up on there. And if you could do the other one as well. Oh, Bitcoin and Ethereum. I predicted the Bitcoin crash just a week ago. So the Breaking the Matrix group, they got out just in time. So again, those type of predictions. Bitcoin has a little bit. It'll stay pretty steady. I'm not going to give you the actual time frames because I can't give you financial advice, in a public setting. So that's why. But overall, just think of it this way. Overall, it's always a great time to invest when Bitcoin or Ethereum, tanks, because in the future, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the other cryptocurrencies, again, will be of value. So very, very, very tumultuous ride getting to that point. Just like any disruptive technology, guys, it's a tumultuous point. Just like exponential intelligence, right? Very tumultuous, but now we're gaining more and more ground. So again, thank you for that, guys. Notice what you notice and join me for next Sunday. And if you have any topics that you want me to cover on Moss on Sunday, send it in on the comments or at customers@mossajady.com. Until then, guys, peace.